Welcome to part two. So, anyways, let's waste no time and get underway with the rest of the movies. Number 20, we have The Prince of Egypt. To be honest, when people think of this movie, they think, Disney style animation and, because of Doug Walker's review. Basically, it is a really good movie, and I haven't seen the Ten Commandments yet, but I plan on it. But, it actually really feels like the Batman animated series. It feels like real people. I mean, sure, there's a lot of celebrity voice work, but forget about it. It's just one of those movies where, it's no matter what you do, it feels kind of amazing. And plus, as a part of my heritage, I really enjoy it. Number 19, we have The Hangover. Now, I'm not usually one for stupid humor, but I do like the good occasional comedy, and with The Hangover, we get a lot of stupid humor. We get a lot of toilet humor. We get a lot of gross out humor, but it is worth it. It is definitely worth it. Excuse me there for a sec. I was fixing my computer. But it is worth it. The Hangover is one of those movies where you know what's going to happen. And plus, with the sequel coming out, you know everything that's going to happen, but you're going to want to see it anyway. So, as I said, I'm looking forward to seeing the sequel in May, so what have I got to lose? Number 18, we have Big Fish. Big Fish is one of those feel-good movies, like It's a Wonderful Life, for example. Story about, as I said, Tim Burton has two stories going on at the same time. The understory and the main story. The main story is the father dying of cancer, played by Albert Finney, and you have the backstory, which is essentially the whole story of what goes on with the father before he got sick. It amazes me. Number 17, we have Some Like It Hot. This is the first cross-dressing film. The first ever. It was actually done in 1959, and I think, parts of it may be a little dated, but other parts are ahead of its time. For example, the end scene. I'm not going to give away the ending, but if you haven't seen it, see it. It's the first movie to do cross-dressing on screen. It was years before Mrs. Doubtfire. It was years... It took a lot of risks. I mean, it was made in 1959, and it stars Marilyn Monroe, Tony Curtis, and yeah, it speaks for itself, guys. It's a really good movie. I highly recommend you check it out. I mean, what I'm doing with Doug Walker's and James Rolfe's videos is I'm checking them out and seeing why they like it. Number 16, we have Home Alone 1. This movie is another huge portion of my childhood, and my former neighbor and I, would probably quote this movie back and forth to each other. So, go rent this movie, you filthy animal. Number 15, we have Castle in the Sky. As I said, I'm trying to avoid putting anime on here, but I love this story. It is a classic story of adventure. It has everything for it. I mean, it is one of Miyazaki's best. It was made in 1986, and Mark Hamill is the bad guy. I mean, he's brilliant as the bad guy. I mean, case in point, as the Joker in the animated series of Batman, and we have him here as the bad guy again. I mean, this guy has a powerful voice, and it is one of the best movies I've seen. Number 14, we have The Seven Faces of Dr. Lowe. This is one of those movies where the main actor plays multiple parts. We have Tony Randall playing 7 different people, and it's not very politically correct, but it was made in 1964, but it brings to mind like Eddie Murphy in The Nutty Professor and Mike Myers in the Austin Powers movies. It also brings to mind Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I like that movie, but parts of it, sort of confused me. But, hey, what can you do? Seven Faces of Dr. Lowe is a pretty cool movie, I gotta say. Though it's not politically correct. I mean, what can you do? Number 13, you have Death to Smoochie. I mean, there are some kooky kid shows out there, and it makes fun of every single kid show cliche you can think of. It is that awesome. I mean, it is funny. I mean, my best friend recommended this to me through one of his friends. And he said, to take a look at it. And so I took his word for it, and I watched it, and the rest is history. It's number 12, we have It's a Wonderful Life. Now, parts of this are a little dated and a little sexist, but I can overlook that. I honestly can. I mean, it is a timeless movie. It is a Christmas movie. If they remade it, it would be horrible. It would drop at the box, be a bomb at the box office. I mean, you can't remake a classic. I mean, sure, Peter Jackson did a good job with King Kong, but that's a whole other story. He's Peter Jackson. He's sitting on a gold toilet using $20 bills as toilet paper. The guy has 17 Oscars to 3 of his movies. And number 11, Ed Wood. I think anybody who's into filmmaking loves this movie because it's the story of a man who's clearly not of his right state of mind, but that's not because of the cross-dressing, but because he's just wasting people's time and just driving everybody up a wall. Ed Wood is, I mean, it is incredible. I haven't shown it to my girlfriend yet, but I think she's gonna love it. Well, this is part 2, and stick around for part 3, and I'll catch you guys later.